Right, guys, welcome back to our show, the MTV Somali channel, where we have another episode for you guys. So, we want to this time talk with the English speaking viewers. You see, the United States of America is split into two camps. There's Camp A, is that you are part of the Democratic Party, you are part of the Hillary Clinton fan club, you are part of the Obamas and the Michelle Obamas and feminism and gay rights and all lives matters and bisexual matters and all that crap. Let's be honest, it's crap. All that crap is aligned with the Democratic Party. Then you have Camp B, who are the Republican Party, the conservatives, all family values, anti-gay, anti-abortion, working hard, supporting communities, religious, anti-abortion. Anything that you can say is it's healthy is part of the conservative or the Republican Party. Now, what happened over the years is that Black America has been aligning themselves with the Democratic Party to a degree where they were aligning themselves in a in an honest way, and also in a way that actually in return helped the Democratic Party instead of helping the African American community. Now, now there's America. Look, America's in the election season, and you're gonna hear a lot of noise from both camps, who will try to talk about each other on the media, label each other with words and whatnot. But I mean, really and truly, all the cat scratching and the booby traps and hiding behind in the corner and all that. All this is part and parcel of the Democratic Party. Now, for the Republicans are straight to the point. They tell you how it is, and in reality, this is something that we, as a, I mean, I'm an observer. I'm an international observer, but from what I see in the American political system is that the Republicans make a lot of sense more than the Democratic Party. Now, a lot of people will immediately have alarm bells ringing. Did he just say that? Oh my God, what does he mean by that? That is exactly what I mean. If you are automatically answering or having those words go around you when you hear that I support the Republican Party, this is exactly what the problem is. Now, the Democratic Party, they see themselves as the anti-fascist, but in reality, they are the fascist party because they want to enforce things on you. They want to enforce alien behavior, alien cultures onto the family or the baseline, and this is causing a lot of problem. This is causing a lot of problem, and by the looks of it, it has split the American people. Now, uh, I want to put this video out of Candace Owens. She's a young Republican girl, African American. She is the Democratic Party's worst nightmare. She's young. She's African American. She looks hot. She makes sense. She's intelligent, intellectual. She speaks with what she thinks on her mind, and she does it to a degree where it makes a lot of sense. And this is a big problem for the Democratic Party, to see ethnic minorities joining the Republican Party. And one of the reasons why I support Candice and her vision is that Candice really and truly tells us all that Black America is falling because of the Democratic Party. Black America has been too honest to the Democratic Party, but the Democrats have not been honest to Black America. Now, I came across this clip on a Fox News interview between Colonel Owens and Colonel West and Candace Owens, and they go toe to toe. I mean, you have to realize Candace is part of the Republican, where Colonel West is a Democrat, African American man. And I want you guys to watch this. I will post it along the way, but I'm trying to put a torch to the young Somali communities out there that do not just vote because what you hear on the news. You need to vote for what fits your lifestyle. And if gay rights and pro-abortion and trans lives matters and all that crap, if that fits into your narrative life, then fine, you are democratic. But if you are against all these gay rights and all these troubles that is happening around the United States, the looting, the riots, if you are against all this bullshit, then you are the Republican Party. Now, there's a lot of Republicans who don't know that they are Republicans, but all they hear about is the media telling them that you are a Democrat. And this is from an early age. People are not thinking, especially African American communities, are not being allowed to think for themselves until Candace Owens stepped in. Now, I'm not going to go into long, but I'm going to pose it, like I said, along the way, and I just want to highlight to you guys that America is a split, and if you're going to choose, I want you guys to choose wisely and not to choose because everybody else is doing it. Now, we're going to have a little debate. Colonel West and Candace Owens, Colonel who's a Democrat and Candace who's a Republican, and they are both African American. And they are going to go heart to heart, toe to toe, and do not fall for the narrative of this. All African Americans are Democrats. This is bullshit. This is a trap, and this is being abused by the Democrats Party. Now let's go into the show a little bit, and then from there I will pause and contribute my thoughts. Okay, let's go.
It's not just that Donald Trump is saying and doing racist things. He's also implementing policies that are hurting and impacting negatively communities of color.
I don't think Donald Trump is doing an awful lot to appeal to African American voters.
All the policy that he's put forward.
Now that's a Caucasian woman who's speaking on behalf of the African American community. Now this is what Democrats is all about. The Democrat Party feel like they have a justifiable rights, even though they are white and from a rich background. They feel like they can talk for the African American community, which is totally wrong. I mean, there's millions of African American communities. You need to allow them to express their thoughts. Do not talk for the people. Anyways, let's keep going.
Has been anti people of color.
Now, we hear those lines all the time, but here are the facts. Since President Trump took office, black unemployment has hit an historic low and currently sits at about 6.7%. And by the way, he's not satisfied with that. He wants it a lot lower, but still pretty great. The number of African Americans employed is up more than 4%, and the most stunning of all, African American wages, this is my favorite, are up more than 9%. Here now in a truly special debate. I'm so happy about this. Candace Owens, Brexit movement founder and conservative commentator, and Cornel West, professor of philosophy at Harvard University and professor emeritus at Princeton. Dr. West, I also want to tell you, I really appreciate your coming on the show. You're an old style liberal. I don't mean old and old. I mean, but you like debate and conversation, and I think that's just awesome. So thank you so much for joining us tonight.
Thank you. Thank you for having me on the show.
Absolutely. And I want to begin with a simple question, Dr. West. Are the president's policies, let's just focus now on his economic policies, are they helping the African-American community, in your view?
Now, I think that the statistics certainly look good through a narrow lens, so I give him credit in that regard. But we have to keep in mind.
So you give him credit, but then you add but. You have to keep in mind. Look, Donald Trump has really brought down the numbers of unemployed African Americans. He's done a lot of things. So you just gotta talk about the facts and the figures. Do not tell us but and that. Donald Trump has done a lot of good work for the African American community, and there's many things that we have seen. So let's see where we are from there.
That on the one hand, you still have grotesque wealth inequality, you have job insecurity, so many people who are working more than one job. We know many people who have withdrawn from the labor force are not counted at all. But I think the problem is, though, my dear sister, is that the president has a language that creates an atmosphere that is so xenophobic against black folk, Mexicans, Muslims. He rarely wants to stay in contact with their humanity. So when you look at the statistics, that's one thing. But when you create an atmosphere and an ambience of xenophobia, it reinforces the polarization, and therefore many black folk wouldn't even be able to connect the statistics that look good with the language, the atmosphere that feels so bad. And that cold-hearted and mean-spiritedness is something that cuts very, very deep in the spirit of people.
Have you met him? Have you met him, Dr. West? Ever met the president?
No, I've never had a conversation with my right wing brother. I mean, you know, I've called him a gangster and a proto-fascist in terms of separation of power. But he's a human being. He's a human being, and I could, you know.
No, I'm just saying this because look, you and I don't agree a lot, but I actually really like you. I think I just like the fact that you're out there and you're advocating. I have no problem with it, and I wouldn't call you.
I.e., it means that I like you because you're making yourself look stupid. 1 minute you are saying that he's doing good with the numbers, and the next minute you are saying, nah, he's not doing good, I cuss him. Colonel West, you know, you part of the old school liberals, you're part of the old school Democrats, but you still have that systematic abuse in your head. That's what it looks like to me, because you're not free politically. If you was free politically, you would have changed your mind long time ago, because Democrats don't have nothing for you at all, Mr. Colonel West. Understand that African Americans are still trapped, and they are trapped because the Democrat Party use and abuse the African Americans. I swear to God, that is I am telling you right now, this is what is happening. And the quicker the African Americans realize that, the better for the community. Democrats are a bunch of liars, they're hypocrites, they tell you one thing and do the other. And we as a Somalis are the people who felt the Democrats' fake smiles from their policies, their foreign policies inside our nation, how they treated us, how they disrespected us, how they shake us with one hand and then the next hand they give us bombs and shit, making all Somalis fight each other. That is the Democrats' party. That's what they're doing. This is what they're good at. They're good at dividing and conquering the people. Anyways, let's keep going.
Oh, you mean-spirited. We disagree. But I think if you actually were with the president, you might find that you could accomplish a lot together and you could do a lot together. I really believe that. He'll work with pretty much anybody. And that's what I found in my experience. So I'm just throwing that out there, Candace. But there is this tonality issue that people seize on with the president. And they always go back to Charlottesville. They always go back to this S-hole countries. Those are the two things they really seize upon, the travel ban. Those three things probably, for some, just wipe out any other accomplishment. Your reaction?
Well, look, I think the president is doing something different. Definitely his tone is different because he tells the truth and he doesn't pander to Black America. He hasn't offered us hot sauce. He's offered us jobs. That makes many people uncomfortable because they're from an era where race hustling is a business. They're used to telling Black Americans that they're victims, writing books about victimhood, and that is no longer selling in America. And I just wanted to comment back on saying that xenophobia is something that Black Americans are afraid of. Xenophobia means that you have a fear, Mr. West, of foreigners. Black Americans are not foreigners in this country. We are a piece of the American dream. We've earned a piece of this American dream, and we're getting tired of people telling us that we are somehow separate of it. I mean, that's really what I have to say. We're doing tremendous under this presidency. There is no candidate that is offering anything on the left to counter what Trump has offered. They're just offering more rhetoric, more fear-mongering, and unfortunately, time is up on this narrative. We're ready to move on and embrace our futures.
Well, Dr. West, go ahead.
If I can come straight, I mean, first, xenophobia in the generic sense means the fear of other. And Black folk have been othered, enslaved, Jim Crow, Jane Crow, and so forth. So if you want to, the narrow understanding is just foreigner, but it's the other. Those who have been otherized, those who have been marginalized in this sense. But think of when you call my dear sister Maxine Waters low IQ.
She does have a low IQ.
That's vicious.
That's a fact.
You said what?
That is a fact. If she took an IQ exam, you would find out that Maxine Waters had a very low IQ. And I will push that challenge. It may not be nice, but it is
human being.
Okay.
When he calls Brother Colin a son of a bitch, you see this kind of language is ridiculous.
I have never used that language.
Not you.
No, I'm talking about the president. I'm not talking about you, my sister. I'm talking about the president.
West, look,
the president called Brother Colin a son of a bitch.
Okay, but
I think that's a fact.
Yeah, I think the nasty language, it's on both sides. I mean, it's on, if they call him a gangster, a traitor. I mean, so we can play that game all night long. But I do want to get this out. I want to get to this. The prevailing wisdom, and I think Dr. West, highlighted this, is that race relations have deteriorated almost under this president. That's the thought. And that Obama was the great racial healer. Yet, in a new study by a pair of sociologists at UPenn, this is not some conservative outlet, they found that, quote, anti-Black prejudice declined by a statistically insignificant degree between 2012 and 2016. But then after 2016, it took a sharp dive. There was also a general fall in anti-Hispanic prejudice, too. So, Professor West, to what do you attribute these findings? So, prejudice is on the downswing, not on the upswing, at least in these first few years of Trump.
Well, based on this particular study, I'd have to examine how they gather their evidence and so forth. But anti-Jewish attacks, anti-Muslim attacks, anti-Mexican attacks, and not just anti-Black attacks, but also the police departments, the militarizing of the police departments, the withdrawal of the investigations when police do, in fact, shoot fellow citizens, whatever color they are, but disproportionately chocolate, disproportionately Black and brown.
Right, that was
absolutely.
Under Obama, like
That's
Ferguson
true.
and
That's
all
true.
That stuff, right?
That's true.
It's not
I'm just talking about continuities. I'm talking about continuities.
Right. I do want to share this. This was a moment that I think, again, going back to what Candace has worked on and spoken about, and what Dr. West, I think you two could actually be happy about together. Happened at the White House, I think it was last month, and it was an event commemorating the First Step Act. Let's watch.
And I really thank you for signing that bill. When y'all passed this, I could have fell through the floor. I'm an example of a woman who has been given a second chance in life.
And it's an experience that I'll never forget. 2 months ago, I was in a prison cell, and I'm in the White House. That's continue to make America great again.
Now, Dr. West, I mean, I don't think they were feeling xenophobia or mean-spiritedness. I think they actually found a president who was willing to work with people who really didn't even like him and didn't think he was probably going to accomplish much. And it got almost no coverage. I think we played it on our show, maybe a few other places, but it didn't get any coverage. What's your reaction to seeing that?
No, I think that's a very important attempt to zero in on this vicious policy in the last 40 years of mass incarceration, punitive attitudes toward those engaged in various kinds of crimes. I've been blessed to teach in prisons for 37 years. The Raw Way to Step program of just in Norfolk. It's something that has an impact on the ground, and I give the president credit for that. It's not as if he has nothing to offer. It's just that the dominant orientation is still tied to what I'm critical of both parties. Because identity politics for me is milquetoast, neoliberal politics that don't talk about corporate power, don't talk about poverty, don't talk about militarism. But the Republicans still strike me as so cold-hearted, mean-spirited, and they're still tied to corporate power and Wall Street and won't hit poverty head on. But when it comes to prison, when it comes to statistics, I give the president credit for that, but it's still small relative to what I'm looking for. I see it in neither both parties other than Brother Bernie Sanders, but that's another dialogue.
I mean, there you have it. This was just a little snip for you guys. I want you guys to all visit this website, YouTube, this is debate, and look for yourself the real reasons why the Democratic Party have lost America and they have lost the trust of the African American community. Thank you so much, Candace Owens, for being a spectacular, and looking forward to see you guys all in our next episode for MTV's Somali channel. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and comment and share. Thank you so much. See you guys in our next episode.